It all began not in a factory, but in a hospital bed. By 1960, Cobra Shelby was one of America's best racing drivers, a tall Texan with a heart full of gasoline and nerves of steel. He'd won at Le Mans in 1959 for Aston Martin, driving through the night in a white racing suit streaked with oil and exhaustion. But soon after that victory, his heart began to fail him. He suffered from a congenital heart condition, and doctors told him bluntly, "Carroll, if you keep racing, you'll die behind the wheel." For Shelby, that was a death sentence either way. Racing was his life. So he decided, if he couldn't drive the fastest car in the world, he'd build it. In 1961, Shelby was back home in Texas, restless and broke but thinking big. He'd seen the rise of small, nimble European sports cars, Jaguars, Ferraris, and ACs, and he knew America had something they didn't, big V8 power. One night, he jotted a note to himself. European chassis. American engine. World beater. It sounded crazy, but that's exactly what he set out to do. He called up AC Cars in England, a small manufacturer whose AC Ace Roadster had just lost its engine supplier. Shelby proposed an idea, sent him a few rolling chassis, and he'd find an engine. Then he picked up the phone and called Ford Motor Company. As luck would have it, Ford had just developed a brand new lightweight V8, the 260 cubic inch Windsor engine. When Shelby told them he wanted to drop it into a British sports car to kick Ferrari's ass, Ford didn't hesitate. They shipped him 2 engines. The transatlantic experiment had begun. In early 1962, a bare AC Ace chassis arrived in Los Angeles. Shelby and a small team of mechanics worked day and night, shoehorning the Ford the 5.8 under the car's delicate aluminum bonnet. It barely fit, they had to widen the frame, beef up the suspension, and reinforce the brakes. The first time they fired it up, the car barked. The lightweight British frame combined with the sheer torque of the American V8 created something alive, violent, and glorious. When asked what he'd call it, Shelby said the name came to him in a dream. Cobra. The Shelby Cobra was born, a venomous mix of grace and fury. The Cobra debuted in 1962 and immediately stunned the racing world. It weighed just over 2,000 pounds but packed more than 300 horsepower. It could sprint from 0 to 60 in just over 4 seconds, faster than anything Ferrari had on American soil. Shelby's garage, now dubbed Shelby American, became a hive of chaos and brilliance. Grease-stained mechanics, ex-racers, and wild dreamers worked under blistering California heat, testing Cobras on airstrips and desert roads. By 1963, the Cobra was a racing weapon. In SCCA competition, it dominated. Ford, now fully backing Shelby, saw potential, not just for racing, but for prestige. But Ferrari still ruled Europe. Shelby wasn't content with beating them in the States. He wanted to take the fight across the ocean. Shelby's team soon realized that the Cobra's open-top design was great for American circuits, but too slow on Europe's long straights. So they built a new version, a sleek, closed-body Cobra Daytona Coupe, designed by aerodynamicist Peter Brock. With it, the Americans stormed Europe. In 1965, the Shelby Cobra Daytona won the FIA GT World Championship, ending Ferrari's reign. It was the first time an American manufacturer had ever won a world title in international racing. At Le Mans, the Cobra's deep roar echoed down the Mulsanne Straight, the sound of rebellion on wheels. Shelby, the Texan who couldn't race anymore, had become the man who beat Ferrari. Never satisfied, Shelby pushed further. In 1965, he crammed an even bigger Ford the 5.8, the 427 cubic inch engine, into the Cobra chassis. The result was almost uncontrollable. It made over 450 horsepower, could hit 165 miles per hour, and was so powerful it twisted its own frame under acceleration. Journalists called it terrifying. Shelby called it perfect. It became the Cobra 427, the most feared road car of its era, the final evolution of the dream that began in a hospital bed. Production ended by 1967, but by then the Cobra had become a symbol. It was freedom on four wheels, raw, unapologetic, hand-built speed. Shelby had proven that ingenuity could outpace wealth, and heart could outgun heritage. Even decades later, the Cobra's mystique refuses to die. Original models fetch millions of dollars, and replicas still roar down highways, powered by the same madness Shelby unleashed in the 60s. And fittingly, Carroll Shelby lived long enough to see his legend cemented, even receiving a heart transplant, a literal new engine for the man who once built cars that roared with his own. Like and subscribe for more fascinating automotive tales.